Martin Gore, born in 1961, is best known as the primary songwriter and one of the founding members of the legendary electronic band Depeche Mode. Interestingly, Gore began his musical career not as a keyboardist but as a guitarist in his teenage band, where he jokes that the guitar had more strings than he had patience. His early songwriting was so secretive that he would hide his lyrics under his bed, fearing anyone would find out he was trying to write music. One of the funniest stories from the band's early days involves their first gig, where Gore was so nervous that he accidentally knocked over his keyboard before even playing the first note. Instead of panicking, he calmly set it back up while the crowd waited patiently, marking the moment as both hilarious and legendary. In interviews, Martin often jokes that it was his grace under pressure that saved the show, though his bandmates would probably credit luck. Before Depeche Mode became an electronic powerhouse, they performed with traditional rock instruments. Martin's transition to electronic music came after discovering the synthesizer, which he initially thought was just a fancy calculator. His fascination with technology led to the band's groundbreaking sound, though he jokes that he still can't figure out how to properly use a calculator. Depeche Mode's early performances were full of trial and error, with Martin often having to rely on his dancing skills when the equipment failed. One memorable moment came during a live show when a power outage caused the entire stage to go dark. Instead of stopping, Martin danced awkwardly in the dark while singing, much to the amusement of the audience. Martin Gore's fashion sense also became part of his quirky persona. Known for wearing leather and flamboyant outfits, he later confessed that most of his stage outfits were found at thrift stores or borrowed from friends. He humorously admitted that the band's early look was a mix between punk rock and a visit to your grandma's closet. During Depeche Mode's peak in the 1980s and early 1990s, they became one of the world's biggest electronic bands. One of their major hits, Personal Jesus, was so successful that it prompted people to prank call churches, saying they'd found their own personal Jesus on the radio. Martin later said he had no idea the song would inspire such strange behavior. Another peak in Martin's career came with the release of the album Violator, which skyrocketed Depeche Mode into global fame. However, during the promotional tour, a scheduling mishap caused the band to show up to an empty venue, where Martin joked that they'd finally perfected the art of playing to nobody. Luckily, the mishap was quickly fixed, and the band continued to play to sold-out crowds. Martin's songwriting during this time became iconic, but he also had moments of levity. While working on the song Enjoy the Silence, Martin famously brought in a toy keyboard from a child's store to create a unique sound, only for the toy to break halfway through recording. The band laughed it off, and Martin jokingly suggested they name the album Broken Silence. Depeche Mode's live shows became known for their elaborate production, but not everything went smoothly. During one concert, Martin's microphone stand malfunctioned, and instead of calling for help, he performed the entire set holding the microphone awkwardly in his hand. Fans thought it was part of the act, but Martin later joked that he missed having a free hand to play with the buttons. At the height of their fame, Depeche Mode also dealt with hilarious fan encounters. Once, during a meet and greet, a fan handed Martin a potato and asked him to autograph it. Always a good sport, Martin signed it and handed it back, later joking that he never knew signing vegetables would be part of his job. Martin Gore was born in Dagenham, Essex, and raised by his mother and stepfather. As a child, he was quiet and introverted, often spending hours listening to records in his room. Martin once joked that his first love affair was with the record player, which helped him survive the awkwardness of teenage years. As he grew older, Martin's passion for music took over his life. Despite his quiet demeanor, he became known for his wit and sense of humor. In one interview, he claimed that his first rebellious act as a teenager was stealing his mother's Barry Manilow records, though he admitted that he quickly returned them after realizing he preferred darker music. Martin's personal life has often been a subject of intrigue. He has been married twice and is the father of 5 children, yet he's often joked that raising kids is harder than raising a band. His children have inherited his love of music, and Martin once shared a story about how his son started a garage band in their living room, only to be told by neighbors to keep it down. In 2013, Martin received the Ivor Novello Award for his songwriting contributions to music. During his acceptance speech, he joked that he was still waiting for his mother to believe that he had made a real career out of pushing buttons and making noises. His self-deprecating humor has always been a contrast to his serious, often brooding music. While Martin is still alive and continues to make music, He has faced his own personal struggles, including battles with addiction. Despite these challenges, he remains one of the most beloved figures in the world of electronic music. Martin continues to perform with Depeche Mode, keeping his quirky humor alive and well through all the ups and downs of life.